when the Thunder were struggling, that appears to be over after they won their 6th straight game last night, beating the Raptors. Russell Westbrook continues to play like the reigning MVP. He had 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists last night. Russ, Melo, and Paul George combined for 81 points, their highest total together. After the game, Melo talked about playing with Westbrook.
I think the fact that Russ is just playing, not trying to defer to anybody, to any one of us, just playing his game and letting us play off of him. I think he's much more effective by doing that rather than deferring to, myself or Paul. And, we know what he brings to the game. We understand it. We accept it, and by that, he's able to just play his game and relax and do what he do best. And we need that. We need that Russ out there, not the one who deferred to us.
Joined by FS1 NBA analyst Jim Jackson. Welcome, Jim. Good morning.
What's up?
Oh, not me.
We had our conversation in the back.
Cause he already know you give everybody A's.
Yeah.
You love to take your class in school.
Well, we know that you defer to him on this topic, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Jim, will Melo and Paul George be happy with less roles behind Westbrook?
It's funny how professionals kind of figure it out. Cleveland started off a little slow. Golden State started off slow. Now the Thunder kind of figured it out. But I'm going to go back to, I'm not surprised by what Melo said, because how he handled the whole New York situation, I thought showed a whole level of maturity. That's somebody that's been in the league, been around, and understands what he wants. And to be honest with you, I always thought it was hard. It was going to be harder for Paul George to make the adjustment of being the second guy than Melo being the third guy, because he's been in the league, he's accomplished a lot, he's kind of settled into where he's at, whereas Paul George, young, still trying to prove that he's in that top 10, top 8, top 12, where we want to put it.
He wants to be with that Durant, LeBron,
exactly,
Giannis.
So I'm not surprised that Melo says that. And both players knew coming into OKC that it was Russ's show. Now how they fit in, that was going to be a whole different story. But I'm not surprised with Melo's comments.
I think when you're winning, I think it's easy to say this. What happens when they go on a losing streak? Because what has happened, Skip and Jack, in the month of December, Russ is shooting 23 times a game, Paul George 15, Melo 14. Now, you remember when it first started out, everybody was like 17.6, 17.4, 17.2. So now you see the wide discrepancy. I always felt they needed to play like this, that Russ needed to be Russ. He only knows how to play one way. He's not a guy, okay, I'm just going to get you guys going tonight. No. Let them follow suit. It's hard for me to believe that Carmelo Anthony, a 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, is comfortable being third wheel. I was the guy for 14 years. Now I'm a guy. Paul George left Indiana not because he said, well, you can't bring me help, but I need a bigger stage so I can show what I'm doing. Even though I'm putting up 23 and 6 in Indiana, that's not the same. So he's trying to ascend. Well, nobody's ever going to put him in that class with LeBron and KD and Giannis playing second fiddle, because those guys are number one fiddles. So I get it, saying the right thing. Oh, yeah, let Russ. Oh, he don't need to defer. But what happens because we know this game is coming. It's going to be a game when Russ shoots them out of it. Then what? Then what?
I did not love Carmelo's comments. I like Carmelo.
Why not?
I'm rooting for him, but I don't think he gets what's happening, because Russell Westbrook is still deferring like mad to the other two wheels, the second and the third wheels. And just for the record, even last night, Carmelo still got 15 shots, and Paul George got 17 shots. So if Carmelo is the third wheel, he's actually more of the 1A or 1B wheel. That's what he really is, because he's still in the big three. But I'm seeing, I said it the other day, and I watch every game. It is appointment viewing to watch this team play. It is fascinating to me, because it's the all-time chemistry experiment with these three egos trying to figure it out. And as you said, they are starting to click and figure it out. But Russell Westbrook leads the NBA in assists for a reason. And he's not getting the cheap ones that he got last year. When I told you again and again, he would just drive last year hell-bent to the basket, and at the last second, if he drew 2 defenders and there were 4 arms up there, he just left the ball on the floor for Ennis Cantor to dunk it or Steven Adams to dunk it to get easy, quick, cheap assists. In this case, he is sharing the basketball. And trust me, last night, go back and watch the tape. There are 4 or 5 times he just would come down and he's trying to distribute the sugar, make it equitable. And he'll give Carmelo his touch in the low post, which is just pure ISO. ISO. And it's kind of hard to watch, but it's what Carmelo does.
That's what he's best at.
He does it. He was really good at it last night. He made a couple of turnarounds after about 17 dribbles, but that's just what you have to let him have that. And Russ is a new guy this year. Again, he's got the new son at home.
Right. New
contract and a new mission, which is to try to win as opposed to star. Last year, he was the star. He was a solo act, and he pulled it off.
Right.
He won the MVP, and he averaged a triple-double, and he had to sit and watch Kevin Durant win NBA Finals MVP, and I think it tore him apart. So he's trying the best he can do. He's selfish now. He is at heart, he's a solo act. He's trying to get these other 2 guys in. And Carmelo's tough now. I disagree with you on Paul George. I think he's got more of a rounded game.
Yes.
Where he understands sharing the ball. I know his ego is big and he wants to be a top 10 player, but Carmelo is tough, man. He's the ultimate ball stopper. It's just hard to fit that in.
I find it hard to believe, though, that Kevin Durant, as great as he is, he couldn't swallow his ego and pride and play second fiddle.
No.
But these 2 guys, they're so accomplished. Melo is a 10-time All-Star. Melo, for the first time in his NBA career, he's not the best player. He's probably the 3rd best player on the team.
And what does he have to show for those 10 All-Star games?
Nothing.
He's got one conference final.
But
right?
it's self-awareness. To me, I think everything that happened with Melo in New York brought a level of self-awareness on where he's at in his career and what's really important. So to me, I believe it just from the people I've been around, the people I've talked to and talking to Melo myself, that he's matured a lot. Now,
I agree.
with Russell, also, you have to think about this, how hard it is to play at the level he played for 82 games. So why not make it a little bit easier through the first part of the season and get us to a point to the playoffs where now we can win? The telltale sign for Paul George, the line of demarcation, do they get to the finals? Because ultimately, that's where they got to get to for him to stay.
I agree.
Because if not, I believe he's out of there.
You're probably right.
And that's the X factor right there. So keeping Paul George happy during the year, that's great. But if they fall anything less than the finals, how do you keep Paul George? How does he stay if he's not number 1?
Okay? But ultimately, you are correct. They'll go as far as Russell Westbrook takes them in the end. But he needs help from these 2 guys. He needs them to be 1A and 1B, not second and third wheel. And I think they could. I'm starting to like this team. Steven Adams is playing big basketball.
8 or 9 again.
And listen,
90%.
Robertson can lock people down, man. And I know he's kind of a liability on offense, but they work around it. And they play they're a top 5 defensive basketball team.
See, that's what people are missing. Their defense efficiency, even you integrate these 2 guys, especially Carmelo, not known as a defensive player.
Right.
But
I think he's trying on defense.
He's trying on defense. And you think about the first month and a half, we all talked about the offense.
Right.
They lost games because they didn't shoot well, not because they weren't playing defense. So now you start to look at the offense, start to matriculate and get a lot better. The defensive end of the court, I think, is where they can hang their hat.
They can.
It's funny that Melo, he wanted out of Denver so bad, and in turn, the Knicks couldn't wait to get rid of him. Isn't it funny how that happened?
You know how the sports game is.
I mean,
man.
So
you
not only does he have a chip on his shoulder, this is it for him. He's got to prove something.
He
needs to try to win something in the postseason.
Yeah.
And last night, just for the record, Carmelo Anthony had 4 assists. Well, by his standards, that's pretty good. And once upon a time, George Karl told me when they were in Denver together, he said if Carmelo Anthony decided to, he could average 10 assists a night. His IQ is that high, but he never really wanted to. Well, I think now he's starting to say, you know what? I got to do some other stuff. I got to play a little defense. I got to make a couple passes a night. And they're starting to look like a basketball team to me.
So who do you think who would you take? Would you take the Rockets? Let's say this iteration stays like it is and they continue to grow.
Right.
Would you take the Rockets?
With Chris Paul, right?
With Chris Paul playing or OKC?
Rockets.
I'm OKC. We did this the other day, and
Okay.
I'm bullish on this team. Again, do I think they're a real big threat to no.
My team in front of your team, the
Who?
Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves.
Yeah.
In front of which team?
Okay.
Your team is the Timberwolves now?
No, I told Skip. Skip, I was high on them. Skip wasn't that high because they hadn't won
You need to
anything.
get a chart.
No.
I like
With sliding,
No.
like slide the teams around whatever week.
You know, I know what you mean by my team, though.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. It's
No,
really not his team.
Not my team, just against his team.
Yeah. That's anything against his team.
Everybody in the West now has one big new problem. Kawhi Leonard is
Oh,
He is
come, stop it.
and the
Just
Spurs are back.
Back
They're
where?
the deepest team in the league. They're going to be a problem
Kevin-
for Golden State.
Kevin Durant gonna spank him again.
No.
Kevin Durant gonna spank him
Like
again.
he spanked him in game 1 at Oakland.
Yeah, and they say, well, Kevin D, we don't need you this game.
Oh.
Gave spot Kawhi and the Spurs 22-point lead.
I didn't see that one coming.
23.
I didn't see that one coming.
No,
I
I'm
didn't see
saying
that one coming.
I'm talking about when they came to your building and KD didn't
That
play.
doesn't matter. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals.
You're gonna walk
My
that
team's
down.
ahead 23 in the
They'd have
third
caught you.
quarter, and
They would've
Zarkov,
caught
a
you.
cheap shot happened.
In 3
Well, he
minutes,
did.
That's out who?
A cheap shot. You know who he is.
and in 3 minutes had shaved 18 points of that 23. In
But
3 minutes.
He's the best two-way player in basketball. And you know what? He looks explosive. He is breaking bricks.
Man, sure enough, ain't took no brick.
Bricks!
What kind of bricks?
You didn't see his
Yeah, I saw
They
it.
were
but
boards.
They
But
were
he can
boards.
break
but-
claw.
But I thought you said it was in his mind.
Well,
about that,
it was,
that
but
inning.
he looked good the other night, and they actually brought him back to play in the second half for the first time, and he looked even better in the
How many
second
points
half.
he have?
Doesn't matter. I just like the way he moves. It's just good. No, he was good. He led the team in scoring. I think he had
So
16.
you're saying San Antonio? So it's going to be San Antonio and Golden State
It's
that what
San
you said?
Antonio will beat Golden State.
in the Western Conference Final.
Correct. Yeah. Or however wherever they meet him. I don't
Golf at
They ain't gonna meet him nothing.
golf
They ain't
at
gonna beat him
Brentwood.
nothing.
Thanks for joining
Golf
us.
at Brentwood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Brentwood.
Dana White is live in studio next. We'll talk to him about Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, and much more. We'll be right back.